Awesome. So let's get into our recaps. We're going to cover Real Housewives of Orange County and Real Housewives of New York. Were either of these more engaging for you? And which one would you like to talk about first?
I'm good with that. Whatever. I think I was more engaged with Roni, but that may be just because, like I said, this was my first episode seeing of Orange County. But I liked the Roni episode.
Awesome. Yeah, let's start with New York. I thought with both franchises we were eating really good this week. I really enjoyed both of these episodes. Roni especially, I thought it was a great follow-up to what we saw last week with Erin and Abe's party. Do you want to let us know what your highlights were from this episode?
Yeah. So I really enjoyed almost every scene. So I really liked Jessel and her mom talking at lunch. I thought that was a really sweet scene because I know Jessel was really nervous to talk to her mom, but her mom seemed very understanding. I liked when Jenna was doing like the casting for her lashes. She made a really interesting comment, like Sai did, about how like Jenna seems to be more open with stranger than her friends. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me because y'all seem like you hate each other. Like that end scene, I get this vibe that they just like, I don't know. I just don't think they like each other. And it's interesting because listening to podcasts, Erin, before the season premiered, talked a lot about how like she considered Sai one of her best friends. But then recently on a podcast, she was like, well, I thought that, but the way that Sai talks to me about in her interviews, you wouldn't think we were friends. So it's just interesting. And then I thought the end, like the whole like group scene with the Christmas stuff was really interesting. Because again, we have Sai who's always hungry, but the food's never good enough. And then them kind of like taking digs at like Jenna bringing presents and then Erin just leaving. I mean, overall, really every scene I thought was like pretty good this episode.
Yeah, totally. Like you mentioned the comment about Erin made after watching the confessionals and seeing how Sai talked about her. I feel like that I'm getting the sense just watching this season, that's just how Erin kind of operates. Like whoever is the last person to say something negative about her that she has heard, it's like, oh, I don't like you now. And then someone else just says something and then she's like, oh, wait, no, now I don't like you. And she's just really taking her aim at whoever is the last person to say something negative about whatever she's doing. She takes things very, yeah, exactly. Dylan, what were your highlights from New York?
I really love Jenna's willingness to say the most fucking embarrassing things about herself. It's just one of her many adorable qualities. We didn't get a ton of Jenna in that episode, but I do love that. And as to her like being more willing to be open with strangers than like friends, like yeah, that's a thing sometimes. Like sometimes it's easier to just like to like unburden something really embarrassing on a person you're never going to see again rather than to somebody you have a long-standing relationship with. Sometimes it just makes sense. I was glad to hear an Octomom reference because I haven't heard one of those in like a decade. So I don't know, put a little smile on my face. I kind of like Brynn in this episode. I think that when you tell a joke, I think sometimes you just gotta like judge it by how your audience reacts, by how it lands. And I thought like I said last time, Brynn's like very direct and obvious fake flirting with every male in her vicinity is like, it isn't that hilarious on its own, and it wasn't necessarily that funny at Erin's party, but the fact that Erin got really pissed off at it, now it's hilarious.
Yeah, totally. I really love the scene that we got with Erin and Abe, where Abe kind of lets this out and like he realizes partway through that he's let the genie out of the bottle and that now this is a thing that Erin is mad about, and he's trying to like put it back in. He's like, well, actually it was kind of funny. And she's like, no, why do you think this is funny? This is abhorrent.
Yeah.
And especially notable was when she was like, oh, what if our children heard? Like, think of the children. And then immediately after she says something to the effect of like, How was it funny when she was joking that you should be fucking around while she's got her kid on them? Like, you're really that concerned about your kid hearing?
The children are literally like next to her, like when she's talking, and they're talking and they hear a sound, and she's like, oh, "Was that a child?" It's like, don't pretend you're upset that a child might have heard somebody else saying something slightly flirtatious.
I mean, her kids were literally in the car when she called her husband that one episode and asked about,
right.
about fucking someone in the senator's office. So, like, I think these kids have heard some things.
Yeah. Oh, another Jenna moment I liked was when she delivers a really backhanded compliment to Sai's outfit when she walks into the wreath making party. And she's like, I just love somebody who's just completely overdressed. And because, if everybody was always just like, normal and perfect and like had good fashion sense, like how much more boring would the world be? Really, really great work at giving a backhanded compliment. The Christmas party outfits were like fucking insane though. Which, I mean, to their credit, I guess. Like, I don't know what size top was. She looked like if you like hacked away at the abominable snowman and revealed that he was made out of geodes or something. And then Brynn's dressed like the Philly fanatic, and Jessel walks in dressed as Gritty. It's just a mascot party. But really fun stuff. Yeah,
I thought that when Erin came in on that scene, the editors did such a fantastic job of capturing the energy. Like, I felt all the air get sucked out of the room as soon as she came in, and it was like such a funny whirlwind because she came in and she's like, I'm gonna ruin this party, and then she only got herself worked up and like stormed out. It's like she barely made an impact on
she storms out, and I forgot who it was, but somebody's like, is anybody gonna go after her? And they're like, nah.
So I was like, nah, I'm good. I thought it was funny when Erin was like, Sai said something sarcastic, and Erin was like, okay, well, thank you. And Brynn was like, thank you. Because Brynn was like, oh, this is my moment to get into this. And then Erin was like, oh, no, I'm not talking to you. You did something horrendous. She literally used the word horrendous. I was like, whoa.
I do appreciate how Sai like really just digs her heels in and sticks up for herself and refuses to apologize. That was kind of charming to me. She maybe does have a tapeworm though. I think her eating thing is
she needs to get her sugar checked or something.
Do miss Uba though. I'm waiting for Uba to come back because I do miss her weirdo ethereal energy. We need that back in the mix.
I think it was Jenna was like, it feels like it's been 3 weeks since I've seen Uba, and it feels like longer to me. Like we need her back.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Another thing I really loved about this scene was like when Erin left, she called her sister, and we got like that that call where she was like, oh, I told you she's fucking rude, she's such a bitch, like she's wearing sunglasses, like, honey, you're not a celebrity. Like, this girl's like digging so hard to try to like carve out a moment for herself. She was doing it at the party by like going up and like trying to scold them, and then it's like doing it now. It is so thirsty. Like, Erin has to put a leash on this woman. She is like,
it's so funny at the party when they're just like chatting and she shows up and it's like, you guys are arguing during their vows. Like, no, we're not. Nobody's arguing. You just saw us talking with a camera on us and wanted to barge in and get on camera.
Yeah, she obviously just saw them talking because they weren't even, I don't remember what they were talking about wasn't important, but she was like, oh, this is my moment.
Yeah, totally. And then immediately after, like, Erin's parents came up and was like trying to introduce themselves, and it was the perfect moment for them to be like, oh no, actually we were just scolded, and completely make a fool of her sister. Dylan, did you have any other highlights from New York?
I just want to say it is really interesting kind of how like since and when they find out that Jenna's name isn't really Jenna. And it is weird how when you find out that like somebody used to have a different name or has a name, it like seems to change something, even though it changes nothing. Like, a name is such an empty vessel, but it's so weird how we like fill it with meaning. And I just thought that was kind of weird because I understand what they're saying, but it's like totally illogical, but I understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah, Jessel was like so shocked about it. Like, she was just completely floored.
Yeah. I have a friend here where I live who is like French, or at least I thought she was French. Like she's lived in France almost her whole life, and her name's Chloe. And then I just found out like this past week that she was born in Hamilton, Ontario. She moved away when she was like 3 years old. But I found out that her name is Chloe, not Chloe.
Oh.
Chloe. And now that I know her that she's actually a Chloe and not a Chloe, I cannot look at her the same way. It just changed everything.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say like Red Deer or like Fort McMurray or something like that. But Hamilton is like
Hamilton is close. Like, yeah, for me, that's like very like intensely Anglophone Canadian city. Just I guess because it's like they call themselves the Pittsburgh of Canada. Yeah. Which is amazing because like who even likes Pittsburgh? Like it's just such a weird flex. So I guess that's for me why it's like such a it's such like an intensely Anglo-Canadian city that it's just mind-breaking to me that like a French person would come from Hamilton and be named Chloe. So I don't know. It just got me thinking about like how like a name is absolutely nothing at all. Like it's just a straight up label, but your mind makes all these associations that you can't help but see somebody from a different angle when you find out their name's different.
Well, I was surprised to hear her name was Judith. I had no idea. Like,
and Judith is a kind of, I mean, I'll say it. It's a terrible name. Like it's an awful name.
It doesn't have the same
give off like she doesn't give off a Judith vibe at least. Like I don't know. There's some badass Judith like Judge Judy. She's that's
are all Judys Judiths?
Yes.
I have no clue.
Okay. I'll defer to your expertise.
What else would be a Judy?
I mean, it could just be Judy on your birth certificate. No.
Yeah, I guess it could.
Or it could be Jude, maybe.
Okay, we won't have another segment of Craig looks up information on the internet this episode because I don't think that will.
That's my favorite part.
But I'm not done talking about this last final scene. I feel like it was so well put together. I really loved the montage that we got where they're like also focus on putting together these wreaths, and you've got like a Brynn with a candy cane hanging out of her mouth like a farmer with straw, or like, I don't know, like James Dean has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and Rebel Without a Cause. I thought it was amazing.
I really liked that Brynn also refused to, like, when Jenna was coming in with like all the bags, she did not get up to help like at all. She was just like, I'm gonna have you do that and stay here.
Yeah. I think she kind of like stands up and hovers, and then it's like, yeah, that's good.
I'm good.
Speaking of those gifts, like I thought that this Jessel's reaction to this gift and how she went on her like thank you tour, I thought that was like a really good move on her part. Like it just showed a lot of growth in terms of how she is developing her friendships and how she's playing the housewife game. And I feel like Sai was being way ruder about the gift this time around. Oh yeah, and Jessel was in the Hamptons.
Yeah, Jessel was being careful. She was afraid that that Jenna would start taking the decor and start making her wear it as lingerie.
Totally. Dylan, do you have any other highlights from New York?
No, that about covers it, I think. But it was a fun episode. I did enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about Gideon and get what your reaction to Brynn and Gideon was.
What a name! This motherfucker's named after a Bible in a hotel. This is, you know what? Usually I hate British people, but I thought Gideon was kind of charming. I kind of liked him actually.
I loved Gideon.
I thought he was actually kind of a likable guy. I did like his weird British jokes where Brynn makes some jokes about like the price of eggs going up, and he's like, indeed, and pints of milk too. It's just like very strikes me as very British humor. I did actually find him kind of charming, and it made it added more to Brynn's characterization too. Having like one of the few things we know about her being that she's like walked out of multiple engagements doesn't sound like very interesting characterization on its own, but it's actually like helping us understand her a little bit more, I think. And so I do appreciate that. And I do like the way that she talks about like, she clearly has a lot of fondness for this guy, but like just felt like she just couldn't cross that bridge for like reasons that maybe even she doesn't quite understand. And that's feels kind of human and relatable too. So I kind of enjoy this subplot for that.
Yeah, I thought that sort of like inability to attach herself that we have seen her mention, at least in the context of being in multiple engagements that she hasn't followed through with. When she talks about her childhood and how her relationship with her parents, who have been very detached and like abandoned her, like you kind of see a lot more of her characteristics and how she's even said in a confessional, like, you know, if I'm flirty and fun and cute enough, then maybe I'll be safe here. And that's kind of like a core motivation to how she seems to operate. And then to get this scene that we got with Gideon, I thought it was so compelling because I felt like she was so disarmed around him. It was like a new Brynn that we saw. I just thought they had like such a really dynamic chemistry. And I watch a ton of Hallmark movies, so I know about chemistry. But really, I did. I don't know. Maybe it's just like he is just obviously very charming on screen. He's got like total Hugh Grant vibes, and and maybe it's also the cars, like those really hot cars being in the room, also adding to the heat level in that scene. But I just really appreciated this scene a lot. It was one of the standouts from this episode.
I mean, it takes guts to also propose to someone that you're broken up with. So I give him props for that. I was like,
oh yeah, that's such a ballsy move.
Right.
When she's like clearly dating somebody else, right?
Yeah, I know. I love when she said the worst thing you have to do is call your boyfriend and tell them you're engaged to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was a successful proposal. It was not like oh, this is this story of this creep that I dated that got so attached they proposed to me when I was dating someone else. It was like, no, she actually said yes.
Yeah.
Right.